Hi, I am Nora Jost. I have Cushing's disease. And just as a friendly reminder, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just telling you about my own experiences. If you're looking for medical advice, contact a professional. So the days following actual surgery day, my hospital stay. So I had a physical therapist who would come up and try to make me walk twice a day and do like exercises and everything like that. It was hard for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. The first day especially, it got easier, but walking was hard. I felt really weak and kind of shaky. Some people are fine. Like some people are like, oh, I was up and running and like walking and like that's awesome. That wasn't the case for me. I had my blood tested every day, 3 times a day. So something to like note is my cortisol levels initially were like 8, and then they went up to like 25, and then they went down to like 10. So I was like, my surgery was not a success. It was a success. I can confirm that now that I'm 4 months out. So do not stress. Like, don't stress yourself out. It's very natural after like going through a physical trauma like that. Sorry, my cat's like hanging out over there. He's really cute. Don't stress your cortisol levels too much. Even if they stay high in the hospital, seriously, like some people take a week to 3 weeks to like crash. And I didn't have a full crash. So what is a crash, right? You're like, Nora, come on, like what is that? A crash is when your cortisol level basically goes down like way below the level. So it goes down to like 1 or 2. It's basically like you're not making any at all. Why didn't I have a crash? 2 reasons. One, I was cyclical, which means my levels were always like. And so it wasn't like spike. 2, I was on ketoconazole before surgery, and I'm going to make a whole separate video about ketoconazole, so if you're like, what the heck, there's going to be a medicine video about ketoconazole and hydrocortisone. Check that out. I was on ketoconazole, which basically, like, long story short, it lowers your cortisol. So I was on it before surgery for like a while. My surgery was supposed to be sooner, but COVID, etc., so it took a little longer. Because of that, they believe my pituitary woke up before surgery. So by the time I had surgery, it was already awake, and that's why I had like 8 as cortisol instead of like 1 or 0. But a lot of people who aren't cyclical, and even some that are, they do crash. And so if they're on a crash, they do need more hydrocortisone, and you could experience nausea and vomiting, things like that. So you really need to like stay aware and like be communicative with your nurses, etc. I couldn't handle anything like lights. I couldn't watch TV, anything like that. I had made a playlist beforehand. I really recommend it. I listened to music like the whole time. The 3rd day I was able to watch one TV show, and for like 1 hour, and it was a lot. I did have the opportunity on the 3rd day to take a shower, so I recommend bringing shampoo and conditioner. That made me feel much more like a human being for sure. What's it like taking the balloons out? So it's rough. Basically, you breathe in, pull it out, and it was so much bigger than I expected. I was like, oh, little balloon. It was like, whew, it was huge. So pulling it out is unpleasant, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. And you feel so much relief. Like my headaches went down monumentally after I had gotten those pulled out. The other big thing is what you shouldn't be leaving the hospital without. Celecoxib is basically an emergency cortisol shot, especially if you're traveling home. I had to travel 26 hours home. We split it into 3 days and like stayed in hotels and stuff on the way home, but still, like, you need to have that with you. You cannot leave the hospital without hydrocortisone. Like, do not leave. Don't do it unless you have hydrocortisone with you. And then I brought compression socks, which is really helpful. The big thing that you want to make sure is like keep your blood flow going. You don't want to get a clot and like have other problems after surgery and all that. So that's what it was like in the hospital. It was rough, but overall, like, MD Anderson took really good care of me. And I guess the big things to expect are like lots of blood work, and I would have the most helpful things for me were shampoo and conditioner. I had a stuffed animal with me, and like it was great having a stuffed animal with me. Be friendly with all the nurses. They were lovely. Something cold, drink lots of water. They won't let you leave until you poop. So I was like, oh my God, I cannot. So they gave me like laxatives and things like that. And I also, another thing to pack, this is something I did not even consider because I was someone with Cushing's who lost their period for 2 whole years. The day after my surgery, when my cortisol dropped down to 8, I got my period and I didn't have anything. I didn't have tampons, I didn't have like nothing at all. So here I was like in the hospital with my freaking period. It was awful, and I've had my period ever since, which I'll talk about more in the next video of like what's been happening since. but I would pack some tampons and some pads, change of undies, some PJs, etc. Oh, and slippers. I wore my slippers every time I walked around with a physical therapist, and it was really, really helpful.